Hey folks, Jared from Southern Homesteads here. In today's video, we're going to go through installing the subfloor and installing the deck joists. Now before we get started, I ask that you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. We've decided that we're going to go and start showing some of the custom builds that we've done in addition to the assembly of this cabin kit. So hit the subscribe button, follow us, we'll show you some cool stuff that you can do on your homestead, whether you're on or off grid. Okay, just like we did in the floor up here, we've run a string line out. This is going to set the posts for our deck. So we, unfortunately, it's too muddy for us to get a skid steer up here today, so we're doing this hand digging style. So we have marked out where our posts are. We're going to dig the first two. We're going to go ahead and get our deck in, and then we're going to go ahead and dig the next two, get the next section of deck in, and so on until we get to the end. Okay, while they're digging those holes, we're going to go ahead and start setting our deck boards, getting our first section of deck ready. In this bundle, there's going to be 3 identical bundles. There's going to be 1 2x10, 1 2x8, and 6 2x6s. Okay, the 2x10 and 2x8 are going to be the same length, and the 2x6s are all going to be the same length. So what we're going to do first is mark this 2x10. We are going to attach our joists 2 inches down. We'll put a mark there. You could do this with a straight edge. A chalk line's just a fast and easy way to do it. We just need a line that's 2 inches down from what will be the top. Okay? And chalk line there. Now we're going to go ahead and mark these joists so that the beams, so that we know where the joists go. So just like we did on the other flooring, we are going to lay this on 16-inch centers. Okay? Which means our first joist stud is going to be, the outside of it is going to be right here. We're going to put our line at 1.5 inches, and then the X, okay? The X is covered by the stud. Our next one, we're going to go right at 16 inches. We're going to put our X at 16. Now this is called a 3/4 back method. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 15 1/4, and that is where the edge of our stud will go. So the stud will cover the X, and with 16 centers, we're going to be on the red the whole way down. So we're going to put an X at the 32. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 31 1/4. We're going to mark 48. We're going to put our X here. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 47 1/4. We're going to mark 64 as our X. 63 3/4 is our mark. Okay, and then our last one will be 1.5 inches in. We don't really need to mark, but we can. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lay this down just so you can see how we're marking. So we're going to transfer this line up. And then I'm going to put this on the face to help me square up my boards. Transfer the X here. The stud is going to cover the X. Stud will cover that X. We're just going to keep moving all the way down. Okay, Stud will cover that X. We're going to do the exact same thing here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it along the face since we have it laid down. We're going to mark X at 16 inches, 15 and a quarter. X at 32, line at 31 and a quarter. X, line, X, line, and we're going to be 1.5 inches in and down here. So we're going to come back, just transfer all of these lines. Now I'm going to stop these lines at my chalk line because my joist isn't going to go higher than that. So the reason we have come down 2 inches on this beam is going to go up against the front here like we did on the back. We want to leave a reveal, a couple inches, that the deck isn't going to come up as high as the flooring deck. So if you go to wash down your front porch or you get any water in, it's going to come up against the board. You're going to have a little bit of a barrier dam. It won't be coming underneath your door. So let's set this one up and we're going to start to nail these off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take our first board. I'm going to go to that side over there. We're going to line it up with our chalk line. I'm going to go ahead and nail it in. All right, let's go ahead and line up our next one.
Now that we all 6 joists in, we're going to take our deck assembly and we're going to move it with the 2x10 flush up against the floor section of the cabin. And we're going to go ahead and set that on the ledge in the corner flush with the edge, and we're going to screw that off. Then we're going to take some temporary braces and we're going to stilt this up just like we did our floor. So just take a couple of screws and run them into your front beam on your cabin, and then grab a couple of supports and support the deck up and level it out.
Can you come up, Buster? Up, up. A little more. A little more. Okay, we have the first section screwed off to our cabin, and we're just going to go ahead and come through just like we did before, and we're going to level that out. That's a little bit high. A little bit high here too. So looks good there now. Okay. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. So we're level. Now we need to make sure we're square. We're just going to measure corner. So we're 23 3/8. Go ahead and right to the, it's the very outside there. Okay, we're 24 1/4 there. So we need to come over just your way a little bit. Let's see here. Okay, 23 3/4, which is what it should be. 23 3/4. Okay, we're going to check level one more time just to make sure we've moved anything. It's wanting to move just a little bit, so we're just going to go ahead and throw a cross brace across it. We'll measure across and see we were square at 23 3/4. So come my way just a little bit. Let me get a screw ready. Okay. Come just a little bit. Right there. Okay. Now we're square. Let's go ahead and check level one more time. It's good that way. Looks good. And we look great this way. So now we're going to do just like we did with our post down there. We're going to go ahead and put some gravel down in the bottom of our holes. We're going to measure our post to the step. We're going to, for us, we're going to dry pack these in concrete again, just like we did before, and then get on to our next section. So one of the questions that I've gotten is why we're using joist hangers rather than a ledger board. Now, a ledger board is a simple board, and normally we would do a 2-inch wide one because that's what we've got under here, that it would sit underneath our floor joist and it would run the whole length of this. And rather than using this metal bracket to hold this up, it would just, the board would simply sit on top of this. Structurally, that's fine. Totally strong. One of the things that you'll learn when you're building off-grid is not creating space for rodents. So when we do this and we create this ledger board here, we've created a shelf close to our floor, which is going to be warm in the winter. And what we have found is any spaces like this get a ton of rodents. It's just an invitation to critters you don't want out in the woods. And so for us, it takes a little bit longer. It's a little more expensive, but we always go to joist hangers instead of the ledger board. Now, on this side where the beam is attaching to the floor joist, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to run our long legs straight through to our beam underneath. We're also going to take the nail gun and put 2 nails in each one of these bays as we go, and the joist hanger. So we'll put structural screws, joist hanger, couple of nails in each bay to attach these together, and we're going to do that all the way down. Next up, we're going to go ahead and add a 2x8 beam to the outside of this. We're going to do 2 of them. Each of them are 10 foot long, and they're going to cover these joints. So we're going to set them up. We're going to go ahead and nail every 12 inches. And then we're going to come back and we're going to take the structural screws and we're going to run those through both beams and into the post. So you're just going to line this up with the end of your first beam here. Let's go ahead and line that up. Tell me when you like it. Okay, come on. Want to level out the top here. We want it sitting flush with the other beam. Like it? Yep, we're just going to. So now we're just going to catty corner these just like we did before. Now I'm going to take 4 short ones. And where this joint is, right here with the underdeck that we did, I'm going to put 2 on each side of that. Okay, we'll go ahead and set our next beam up. This one's complete with mud. It rained again last night. It is sloppy out here. You like it? You go and grab that other gun. Now, if anybody works for DeWalt and they want to contact us about their nail guns, I would be absolutely willing to have that conversation. All right, same as before. I'm going to put one on each side. Two on each side. Okay, now to finish up this side here, we're going to take the joist hangers, just like we did before. We're going to hang them on all of the single ones that are exposed coming through. We're going to use the hanger nails. Oops. So they're a short, fatter nail that comes with your kit. Okay, we are to what I think is the most exciting part of most builds. We're at the place that we're going to put subfloor in, and this is when it goes from walking in the mud and the dirt and uneven surfaces to being onto a clean, straight area. So congratulations. The hardest part of every build, in my opinion, is done. If you're to this place right now. So our foundation is in, all of our floor joists are level, they're all secured. There's joist hangers. We've got structural screws into all of our beams. Everything is ready for flooring. So next up, what we're going to do, we're going to snap a chalk line down our joist at 4 feet. That's going to give us a line to put. We're using liquid nails. The reason we use liquid nails isn't as much for structural as it is for squeaking. Matter of fact, I was watching a video. A guy had built a really neat cabin out in the woods, and as he was giving a tour, with every step you heard as he walked through this house. This will stop that from happening. So what we don't want to do, the wood that's going to go down is an Advantech tongue and groove floor system. So what we don't want to do is get glue. This stuff, when it gets on you, it is a mess. It doesn't want to come off. You don't want to get it onto the tongue and groove section. So that's why we simply snap a line, lets us know, hey, don't put any liquid nails past this till we get to our next row. So our first sheet is going to be an 8-foot sheet. Our second sheet going down is going to be an 8-foot sheet. Our last one will be a 4. Our next row, we are going to stagger those joints. So we'll start with a 4-foot sheet, and then we'll do an 8-foot and an 8-foot. Our last row, we're going to go right back to the way it was when we started, which is going to be an 8-foot, an 8-foot, and a 4-foot. So we'll go ahead and string out our chalk line, mark this, get some liquid nails down. Yep. So again, I'm marking 4 feet off of that beam. You can go a little bit short. And we're just going to snap that line. Go ahead and wind it up. Okay. So next, we're just going to take a bead of the liquid nails. Oop. And we're going to run this down every joist. Sawdust up there. So I'm only going to do, when I get to the doubled up one, I'm only going to do half, because this is where this sheet is going to stop. So I don't want to extend past where I'm working right now, so I don't have to worry about stepping in it. Our first sheet, we are going to do tongue out. Okay, a couple things that are very important when we set our first one. That is, we do not want it sticking past our edge here. So if this is sticking out past, if this subfloor is sticking out past this 2x10, when we go to put siding on the outside of this, we're going to have to deal with the subfloor. These sheets are 4 foot by 8 foot. That includes the tongue. So know that all of this is going to sit underneath your wall when your wall is built. So none of this is going to be exposed. So you're better to be just a little bit shallow than too deep. So I'm going to square this up. I'm going to come at about 1/8 of an inch or so all the way around. Oh, go ahead and push your hand in a little bit. Again, you're better off to be a little bit in than too far out. So once we like that, we're going to go ahead and take our nail guns. Now, with Advantech, they have marked all where you need to put nails. One of the things we're not going to do is we're not going to put a nail out on the end until we get our next row in. So we don't want, if we put a nail in here, it's going to cause a problem when we go to put our tongue in. So we're going to go ahead and fasten all the way to this row here, which is going to be 5 nails. With the Advantech, the circles are 16-inch centers. Okay, in the center of the sheet, that's going to be your squares. So we're just going to hit circles, and you can look down your floor joists and make sure that you're on. So let's go ahead and nail this off. All right, so next up, we're going to do the exact same thing with another 8-foot sheet. Now, on the Advantech, they want a gap right here of 1/8 of an inch. So typically we just use a nail, gap this just a little bit. Okay, making sure that we're not sticking over anywhere. We look good. And we're going to go ahead and nail this one off. So with our next row, we're going to go ahead, hit the string line, just like we did before. All right, so we've got our liquid nails down. We're going to go ahead, tongue side first. It's going to slide into the groove on the back side of the previous sheet. So go ahead and drop it down. We're going to line it up where we want it on the far side there, because once it starts to go in, you're not going to be able to move back and forth at all. Okay.
Check your groove before you go to put it in. If there's anything hanging up.
Yeah, check your tongue. Ours had to come through some pretty wild woods to get out here. So if there's any kind of a mark or anything that is hanging up, you're going to want to kind of work that out of it first. All right, so a little trick to getting these in. How do you look on alignment down there? Okay, so he's just going to jump and try to force them in. Hayden, that was weak.
That was weak.
I mean, that, so like land. So one of the things that you've got to be super careful of is we're going to use a block of wood, is laying it flat on that joist and making sure you don't mess up the tongue. I'm sorry, the groove side of that. So we're really fighting this sheet right now. Unfortunately, it's been sitting out in the rain the last couple of days. While it doesn't hurt the Advantech, everything's a little bit swollen. So we're working this corner in first, and then I'm going to put a screw into this corner just to hold it in place, and we're going to work our way down. Okay, I got that screw in. Now you should be able to go to Buster side. Now we're fine. Okay, let's go ahead and get this one nailed off. Remember to hit the nails in the other side after. All right, so our next sheet's going to be the 4-foot sheet. As you can see, we've wrestled with these some. That's not on Advantech, that's on us. We got when the rainstorm came through, we did not have the tongue on these covered. And so the tongues are swelled up a little bit and just making them way more difficult to get in than they should be. But we're almost there. One more line after this 4-footer. So just, what's that?
Helps to have a heavier hammer.
Yeah, bigger hammer helps. You just got to be careful that you're not going to mess up the groove on the back side of the tongue and groove, or you're going to create problems for your next row. Just be patient. If it doesn't want to go in at first, it's okay. Just pull it out. See if there's anything debris hanging it up. Shave it a little bit if you have to on the tongue or on the groove side. Like I said, most of the time this will slide right in, but the joys of rain and mud. Beautiful. All right, apparently the tarping that we had over our liquid nails can was not secure enough because the tube got wet. We just had a blowout out the side of it, and now we're doing I wonder if I can some kind of creative spread on it. We don't have any more tubes of liquid nails with us today. Okay, our subfloor is in. I'm excited to say we got a clean work surface to begin to work out of. We're going to move over to the deck and get that decked in, and then we'll start going north with walls.